By the end of this video, you will have a working and simple to use sound manager that plays sounds for your games. For the best tips and tricks on making games using various languages and game engines, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when I post a video every Monday. As a professional game developer, I have made several sound systems for various games and platforms. And now you can too. Step number 1. Create sound channel class.
Okay, so we're going to, with Unity open, we are going to right click on the scripts folder and create a C# script, and we're going to name it audio channel. Let's go ahead and open the C# script, open it up. So this script is going to be pretty simple. All we need to have is an audio source, which is going to allow us to play the sound. And we need to also create this audio channel, which is just an enum that holds, what type of channel we have. Right now, we're just going to have two types. One is going to be the music, and then the other one's going to be just the sound effects. But you could have ambient or anything else in there. And we are also going to have two properties to be able to get the audio source and the audio channel, so that we can change the volume, the audio clip, and to play and stop the sound from playing. And then all we need is just a function that is going to set the data for this class, which is we're gonna pass in the audio source and the channel type when we create this.
Step number 2. Create sound manager from Singleton class.
Okay, so let's go back to Unity. It's going to compile whatever it needs to compile. Let's get rid of that. And let's now create another class. This is going to be called Sound Manager. We open up Sound Manager. This is going to inherit from Mono Singleton, because we only need one system that allows us to play sounds. And so let's set it up, right? So we're going to have, as always, we're going to have the initialize function. So let's do that. And we are obviously going to need these variables. The channel count is going to it's going to be we're going to tell the sound manager how many channels we want, and from that it's going to create those channels. So the way that it's going to work is we're going to have the first channel, or the zeroth channel, is going to be the music, and it's always going to be persistent. Um, and then after that, we are going to have channels 1, 2, and 3, which are all going to be sound effects. Okay? These are going to be transient, which means that they're going to be recycled and used as a first come, first served basis. Okay? And if you don't know what I mean, then um, it's okay. You'll you'll see at the end of this video. And let's have, we also need to override the stay alive to be true, because we need this manager to stay. We're going to need it from the start of the application all the way to the end of the application. So whenever we go from one scene, like the main menu, into the play area or the demo that we currently have, we need that data to persist. And to do that, we need to tell it to stay alive.
Step number 3. Create active and inactive pools.
All right. So then we're going to need these two lists that contain an audio channel. And we're going to have a, let's call it inactive and active. So the inactive, whenever we go and create our channels, that's what's going to happen in the initialize function that we just overloaded. We're going to go through and create the 4 channels that we want to create. The first one that we'll always create is going to be the music one, and everything else after that is going to be the sound effects. And so to create it, we're going to name it audio channel underscore and whatever the channel type is. And we're going to have to add an audio source to it, so that we can play and tell it what volume and what clip to play, and the audio channel, which is what we want to modify. Or it's pretty much the interface between that audio source and us. And we pretty much get the audio source and the channel here, and we set that into the audio channel. We tell it, okay, this is your audio source, and this is your channel type. And we just parent the audio channel to this game object, which is the sound manager, and we add it into the inactive pool because nothing is used yet. So the So in the inactive pool, we're going to have objects that we're going to look into whenever we want to play a sound. We're going to be like, okay, do we have anything within the inactive pool that we can use currently? If we do, that we get it out of there and we put it into the active pile until that sound stops. So that's how we're going to be recycling these things. Okay, so we're going to need some functions to access um, these channels. So the first one that we want is going to be, so we're going to return audio channel here, and we're going to call it, let me just, we're going to call it find and remove next available by channel type. And what we're going to pass in it is going to be the channel type. And pretty much, so we're going to go through the inactive channels, and we are going to check if the channel type is whatever channel type we want. If it is, then we get it out and we break because we only need one. And then we need to make sure that if we did get one, if we did get one, we need to remove it from this pool, and then we're going to be adding it later on to the active pool. Now we have to be careful and check to make sure it's not null because these objects can be null, okay? And then we're going to have this function that is going to find and remove anything by the chat by the audio clip. But this one, it's gonna only look at the active pool, and it's pretty much going to be the same thing. But instead of checking for the channel type, we're going to be checking to make sure that the clips match. And you'll see why we would like to do that. So this particular function is going to be whenever we want to stop a sound. And the reason why we need to check if an audio clip against an audio clip is because if we check against a channel type, we have so many channel types. I mean, of the same type. We're gonna have 3 sound effects. So it's gonna, if you wanted to, let's say that you had multiple channels for a certain sound, but those sounds might repeat themselves over time, and then you want to stop it at some point. Well, if you use the channel type, you're not going to be able to find the correct one. You have to use the actual audio clip to find the proper audio and stop that audio from playing. So that's how that works. And we're also going to be needing a function that gets all of the channels by the type and gives us a list of all of those channels. So this is what this function does. It goes through the inactive pool and it checks to see if we have the correct channel type. And then we just add it into the list here and just return that list. And the reason why we want something like this, we don't when there is going to be a time where we want to look for a clip or a channel audio channel type, but we don't want to remove it. So we don't want to use this function because this one removes it and then makes it into the active pile. This one, we're just going to need to modify whatever they have in there, like when we change the volume or something like that. Okay. And then every time we look up one of these channels, we have to make sure that we recycle these. So this is what this function does. It pretty much frees all of the channels that it can find that have stopped playing, that they're like if there's a sound that is not looping and we don't need it to loop, whenever it stops, we need to put it back into the inactive pile so that we can, whenever somebody else wants to use another sound from the same channels, we can give it to them whenever they need it. So that's what this function does. It just recycles and makes sure that whenever a sound stops, it goes back to the inactive pile.
Comment down below and tell me what sounds you will be using for your own game. Step number 4, add request functions to Sound Manager.
Okay, so the next thing that we gotta do is we want to be able um, to change the music volume. Okay, and to do that, we are gonna this function is gonna take a float, which is just called volume, and we're gonna see, okay, if it's not the same as this one, if the music volume is not the volume, so if they're not the same, then we're gonna make them the same. That means that somebody wants to change it. Um, so then we're gonna find all of the channels by type, which we just want the music. And we're gonna make sure that this audio channel list is not null. And then we're gonna go through everything, even though there's only one. We're gonna go through all of the list, and we're gonna just change the audio volume to be whatever they want it. Similarly, with the change sound effects volume is going to be the same thing, but we're going to be um, choosing all of the sound effects instead of the music, and it's going to pretty much do the same thing. It's going to go and loop through all of the audio channels that it could find and set the volume to be the new volume. Another request function that we need is going to be the ability to play a sound. Um, so here we're gonna pass in the audio clip that we want to play, and we're gonna tell it if it's gonna be looping or not, and what channel it needs to play it on. So first, what we need to do is we need to free any channels just in case there's no more. Um, so it frees anything. Then we want to find and remove the next available channel by type. We pass in the channel type, and we should get an audio channel. If this channel is not empty, meaning that it could find something, we're gonna set the audio clip to be whatever we want. We're gonna tell it to loop or not based on what we pass, and we are assuming that maybe somewhere along the lines, somehow the volume changed. We need to make sure that we set the proper volume based on the channel type. This may not be necessary, but it's just a precaution. And then we just tell it to play that audio clip. And we put it inside of the active audio channels. And the last function that we need is to tell it to stop playing a sound. It's only going to take an audio clip and an audio channel type. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to say, okay, we're going to free any channels before this runs. We're going to find and remove a channel by clip, and we're going to pass that audio clip. And if we do get something, if we get an audio channel that is not empty, and if it's the same channel type that we wanted, then we're going to tell it to stop. And we're going to add it to the inactive uh, audio channels pool so that it could be reused.
Step number 5. Create sound player class.
All right, cool. So after that, we need to create another class. And this one, it's going to be a class so that we could tell what object is going to play and what channel type and all that stuff. So we're going to create another class called sound player or something like that. And we are going to need to pass in the audio clip and audio channel. And we're going to need a boolean to let it know if it needs to loop or not. And it's going to need a function called play sound. And all it's going to do is going to ask the sound manager that it wants to play a sound using the audio clip, the loop sound, and the channel type. And the last function that this is going to need is a way to stop playing a sound, which it just takes an audio clip and a channel type. And that is it.
Step number 6. Add sound player to objects and call from events. And playtest what we have so far.
Okay, so now that we have all of that, we need um, to add those sounds to these objects. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to get these buttons and make them do something. So we're going to add the sound player script to these objects. We're going to make sure it's a sound effect. And we are going to make sure as well that it's going to be whatever sound game object it is. Go to the sound player and go to play sound. Okay. And let's see, we need the main menu as well. And let's do the same thing, add in the sound player, make it be a sound effect, add that, choose sound player, and play sound. Now, let me make sure that each one of these is different. So this is exit. No, okay, so make sure that it's the correct one. So I guess we're gonna have to do each one of these manually.
Unfortunately, this one's fine, and this one's apply, and this one is not the correct one. Play sound.
Okay, so those should be good to go. We just need to add the sound that it needs there. So I guess we could do that next. So if you already have your sounds, go ahead and place those into the audio. I'm just going to put them there for now. and let Unity import it. And then pretty much for every button that goes forward, I'm going to add a certain type. It's going to be this one. And let me make sure that they all have the correct one. They should. And then every button that goes backwards is going to have a different sound. Okay, so that's that. Now let's go into the resources folder and let's select our AI and pedal, or two pedals. So let's go to add component and go to sound player and make sure that we have sound effects. And for this guy, we are going to use one of these. And for the other guy, we're going to use the other one. Now, for these to be able to actually play the sound, we are going to need to go into the ball collision and modify this a bit. So we are going to have a sound player, and then we're going to do the same thing here. Lowercase sound player, and if it is, we're just going to say that we want sound player, give us sound player. Okay, and then on the trigger enter to D, let's do it right here at the end. We're going to say, okay, if the sound player exists, then we want the sound player to play the sound. And that's pretty much it for that one. For the, let's see, let's also go here. And where we have the apply, we need to make sure that we apply the changes to the sound manager. So change music, and we're gonna pass in the music value. And we're gonna say change sound effects, and it's sound effects value. And we don't need this to do anymore. So that is good. And let's go here in the start. And we're just gonna do this. We're gonna say, okay, if Sound Manager exists, is gonna bring it into existence because originally it's not in existence. So we need to at some point bring it into existence so that we can actually do what we needed to do. And we don't want it to just bring it into existence once we click apply, because what if you never go into the options menu to change anything? Then you will not have sound. Um, so yeah, let's see. I believe that is it there. Now we just gotta make sure that we hook it up. So we have to, let's go back to production and resources, go here. And all we gotta do is get this sound player and put it into the bulk collision. Same thing to the AI. And think the last thing that we need to do is we need to go to the scenes. We need to go to the demo. And for these, we also need one as well. So this is going to be the sound that is going to, whenever the ball hits the edges of the screen.
So.
Okay, so I believe that we have everything set up correctly. Let's hit that play button and let's see. So we have the sound manager here and we have all of our channels. So if we go to the options menu, you can see that that sound that you assigned to the going forward UI. So let's say that let's see if the sound effects are working. Let's do 0.01 or something like that. So yeah, it's working on my end. So if we go back, let's go into the game and see how that sounds. So now you should hear the ball bouncing on different surfaces. Okay, so I feel like that was pretty good.
Congratulations, now you know how to add sounds to your games. If you like this video, let me know by giving this video a like. Subscribe, share it, and comment down below with how helpful this video was. And what was your biggest takeaway? I am looking forward to your feedback and responding to your comments. I will see you in the next video and thank you for watching. Have a great day.